Hello everybody and welcome back to another daily update. My name is Akash. You can follow me on Twitter at Magiko with the zero at the end. Today's video is going to be a little different. It's going to be unlike a lot of the videos that I've done in the past. Right, just click this link in my Twitter bio. It will take you to my YouTube channel where I post a Bitcoin update every single day. For most of the days, I've talked about Bitcoin scalping and my trade plan. But today is going to be a little different. I'm going to talk about the macro outlook of Bitcoin and how you can position yourself for the next quarter, probably up to September, right? So without further ado, let's get into it, right? So these are the Bitcoin returns segregated month and year wise, right? And what we're looking at here on this chart is the average Bitcoin monthly return, as you can see here. April and May were supposed to be really like good months, but 2022 we started off 2022 really good, like not really good. Like 2021 we kind of hit an all-time high 69K, and then since then the price has been crashing down, right? So 2022 hasn't been great for Bitcoin. April and May is like a testament to that particular statement. And May, obviously, the Luna fiasco kind of caused the market to tank very quickly, right? So obviously these 2 months historically were great. Not that great. They were okay-ish, but now they've turned to worse. June, on an average, has returned 12%. So I'm kind of expecting June to kind of hold up how Bitcoin has done historically. I'm kind of expecting Bitcoin to pump a little in June, and I'll connect why I feel like this is gonna Bitcoin is gonna pump in June. But let's take a look at July, August, and September. These months don't have a good track record, and as you can see here, quarter three for Bitcoin is not so great. It's a single digit performance, right? So obviously I'm gonna be a little bearish going into the quarter three, but I will still have an open mind because Bitcoin is kind of veering off its you know natural path, because as you can see here on a weekly time frame, right, Bitcoin's never had one, two, three, four, five, six, 8 consecutive weeks, which 7 consecutive weeks technically speaking. And if you get this week, uh, if we close this week as negative as well, then it's going to be a record for Bitcoin. Right? Bitcoin has never done this before. So with that in mind, I am going to be optimistic for June, but I would like to have an open mind going into quarter three, right? So now let's take a look at why I feel like June is gonna kind of alleviate this bearish tension that we've been going on for quite some time, right? I wrote an article on the 20th of May where I talked about the last rebound before a capitulation, right? In this one, I talk about how Bitcoin price could head up to 34, 35K, approximately 36K, right? And let me just quickly explain why I feel like that is happening, right? That is going to happen. So basically, my thesis is that we're going to see a dead cat bounce. Right. So as you can see here, the price has been consolidating tightly within a particular range. This range extends from 28.5K to 31.5K, and price hasn't literally left this target. That's this range, right? But we have a lot of untapped lows down here. I feel like once we sweep these lows, the price is going to go higher and collect the liquidity resting above these highs around roughly 30,700. And then these highs, the liquidity above these highs are completely untapped virtually. So there's a really good chance price will go up to 35K. This will allow, call them whatever you want to call them, smart money, market makers, institutional investors, whoever, for them to engineer liquidity. What that means is, when if Bitcoin price goes up to 36K, there's going to be a massive FOMO. And even now, right, Bitcoin's down bad and altcoins are running 20, 30% every single day. So this is not the sign of a bottom. Usually when there's bottom, there's blood in the streets. And what's happening right now is this capital rotation, people rotating the capital from one altcoin to another altcoin, causing it to pump. So I feel like there's going to be a hype that's created before there's a massive wick to the downside, which will be a capitulation, right? So for that to happen, there's going to be a minor pump to 35K. Anywhere between 35K and 36K is what I'm expecting, and you can see that here clearly. Right. So for me, 34.7K was a really important level to confirm that we're in a bear market. And so far, as you can see here, the price below 36K has like there was a massive crash. Basically, any move below 36K, there was a massive slip up, causing the price to move to 25K. Right. So for now, I feel like there's going to be a minor recovery rally, probably a reversion to the mean before the price actually continues its direction. That's kind of detailed in this bear flag. Right. So that said, right, I think there's a really good incentive for smart money institutional investors, market makers, whatever you want to call them, for them to push the price up to 35K, 36K. This would cause a lot of altcoins to rally explosively, and it would shift the mentality of the market from bullish, from bearish, from extremely bearish to bullish. Right? When that optimism clocks in, I think there's going to be an event. Not sure what it's going to be, but there's going to be a sudden downturn, and the price is going to crash to 20K, 19K. Right? So let's move on to why 20 and 19K is my target next. Uh, Right. So on 30th of May, I wrote this article called "Multiple Scenarios Arrive at the Same Bearish Conclusions." Right. In this particular article, I take a look at Bitcoin and the volume profiles of 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. Right. So all of these, basically, the volume profiles for 2020 and 2021. Let me just open this chart here, which is Bitcoin is the next. Right, so as you can see here in this particular chart, the volume profile for 2020 and 2021 thins out considerably after approximately 30.6K. And so far, we've been sitting under that level for quite some time. But in the volume point of control for 2021 is around 33K. So that is going to be a major challenge for bulls to overcome. Like for my particular scenario where I'm expecting the price to go up to 36K, for that to take place, the price needs to overcome this volume point of control for 2021. So basically, a volume point of control is a point where that asset has been traded the most. The volume for that particular asset has been traded the most. So that said, as you can see here, I marked the void. This void is basically there's no volume traded in this price range, which extends from 12K all the way up to 29K. So if we get weekly close below 28.6K, I feel like there's going to be a drop all the way down to this level here, which is 19.2K, and the bear flag point of control, the bear flag targets puts the bear flag target indicates that the bottom is going to be somewhere around 17.5K. Now, as you can see here, the 17, 18, and the 19K are extremely close. So 19,000 plus or minus 1,000 is going to be the bottom for Bitcoin, hopefully, right? And on top of that, the 2017 all-time high also coincides very closely with the levels that we just spoke about. Right, so let me just mark this out. Yeah. So we don't have the ranges for this. Actually, hold up. So 20K and 17K. All right, so this is going to be the pocket that we're going to monitor, and this is where I feel like Bitcoin is going to bottom, right? So the first scenario talks about how the first scenario talks about the void, which extends from 12K to 30K, and the volume point of controls basically confer with this particular void, and they talk about how Bitcoin price could drop all the way down to 19K, right? And if you look at the 2020 volume point of control volume profile here, the the only place where the volume profile kind of bulges is around 19K, right? So the first indication that 19K is going to be a bottom is the volume profile for 2020, and then we have the bear flag target at roughly 18k, 17.6k, which is the second target. And the third one is basically using a fib from the March 2020 bottom to the all-time high, kind of shows three important levels where I usually buy, right? For example, any altcoin, right? I use a fib extension. I name these levels here extending from 79 retracement level to 62 retracement level as buy zones, right? And even these buy zones, the lower limit of the buy zone is around 17.5k, which is another coincidence, right? So if these coincidences weren't enough for you guys to kind of understand the significance of this particular pocket here, which extends from 20k to 17k, let me show you this chart, right? So this is a Bitcoin CME chart, which does not trade on the weekends. And unfortunately, we have Bitcoin markets, crypto markets basically open 24/7. But even though there's a little bit of low volume on the weekends, the asset still trades, right? So these gaps that you see here are basically the gaps formed during the weekends, right? So Bitcoin kind of closed around, for this particular candlestick here, right? Bitcoin closed around 44,655, and then the CME trading basically for Bitcoin closed here. And then when it opened, the spot Bitcoin price was around 46,610. So that's why you see these gaps. Historically, since the launch of CME, I think it was somewhere in 2017, if I remember correctly. It was 2018. No, it was 2017 actually. So since its inception, right, people have been observing these gaps, and these gaps have become a self-fulfilling prophecy, pun intended. Uh, any gap that you see here, right? For example, let me just quickly take a look at this particular gap here, which extends from here to here, right? Let's make this supply and demand zone, right? So there was a gap here, which was eventually filled when Bitcoin traded into it, right? Similarly, we had another gap here. Actually, let's take a look at this gap. We had a gap here, which was filled when Bitcoin price traded into it, right? So any gap that you see here for Bitcoin has been filled. For example, this one, right, extends from here to here, and it was filled when Bitcoin traded into it. Likewise, there's been quite a few gaps over the years that have been filled. So the only ones that are left unfilled extend from this particular gap here, which extends from 34.4k to 35.1k, and then we have another gap here, which is 11.52% gap, which extends from 23k to 26k, right? And even below this is another gap here extending from 18.4k to 19k. All of these gaps are unfilled, right? So if you remember this particular, me talking about this particular article and why I feel like Bitcoin price is going to go up to 35, 36k, take another look at the gap to the top side, right? It extends from 34k to 35k. So A, it adds credence to the dead cat bounce scenario that I just explained. B, if you take a look at the CME gap right now, on May 12th, Bitcoin price partially filled this gap. So let me just place it down to this level here. Right, so now we have to fill a 6%. There's a chance for price to head up to 23.7k. Right, so if you look at this gap here, 19k to 18k, which is where this pocket lies, it is exactly inside this pocket, right? So basically there's multiple scenarios all pointing to 19k, 19.5k. So to conclude, I feel like Bitcoin price is going to bottom around 19k with a potential wick down to 11k, 12k. I don't see this happening, but in an extremely bearish case scenario, you guys should have this level at the back of your mind, right? So that said, this is basically how I am looking at Bitcoin from a macro perspective. So to as a new tradition that I want to continue, I want to talk about the conclusion, right? So the first conclusion is that Q3, I'm expecting June to have positive returns, which is basically a bump up to 36k, which was explained by me right now. uh, using CME gaps and using the dead cat bounce thesis, right? And from a macro perspective, you can expect Bitcoin to go up to 36K, which is a dead cat bounce, aka engineering liquidity. Three, this move, this run up to probably 36K is going to catch a lot of people off guard, resulting in a capitulation move to anywhere from 20K to 17K, right? And then we talked about the CME gaps, which also point to this range, 20K to 17K range. So yeah, this is basically how I'm going to be trading Bitcoin, right? Uh, so I'm expecting June to have positive returns, and then keep an open mind for Q3. Yep, that is it for today's session. If you enjoyed this macro outlook, please let me know. As a quick update, right, for Bitcoin, my scalping is pretty much my plan is still pretty much the same. I've after yesterday's candlestick close, I marked out Monday's high and Monday's low here. I'm still expecting for the price to sweep the range low at 28.5K, which is where I'm going to be opening a fat, relatively fat position, long position, and I'm going to expect the price to sweep the equal highs here at 30.7K. But if I'm lucky, I'll probably keep half of the position open, and I'm going to close it after a sweep of the range high at 31.5K. So that is pretty much it, guys. If you enjoyed this macro outlook for Bitcoin and how you should position yourself for the next couple of months, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and click on the bell icon. You can also give me a follow on Twitter at Mangyako with a zero at the end. Have a great day. Happy trading. Peace.